Welcome to State of the Games in the Cosmere. So we do this panel every December at Dragonsteel and talk about what's coming in the year ahead. But you're getting a special mid-year update for everything we've got going on. So I'm going to say with the 45 minutes we've got, we're going to spend probably like the first 30, 25 on kind of telling you stuff that we brought to reveal with pictures and things like that. And then we'll have like 10 or 15 minutes for some additional Q&A. So without further ado, let's get started. We've got the following Brotherwise panelists today. Everybody say your name real quick.
I'm Hayden Dillard. I'm the design and development manager for the board games.
All right. Next up alphabetically is...
Okay. I'm Lydia Suen. I'm the lead designer for the RPG.
I'm Lyla Fujiwara. I'm the project lead and adventure design lead.
I'm Meric Moir. I am the RPG director for Plotweaver.
And I'm Johnny O'Neill. I'm the creative director for the RPG, as well as I am the co-founder and president of Brotherwise Games. And we have two very special guests today. Famed game designer John D. Clair. And famed author Dan Wells. All right, we're going to be able to hear from both of them a little later on about what we've been lucky to work on them, with them. Some combination of those words.
Get that online as soon as possible.
So the Cosmere is all about this universe of adventure and investiture, telling epic stories in incredible worlds. And of course,
there is always another secret.
So we'll give you a couple secrets today. But first we want to just have a quick victory lap. 2025 was an amazing start for the Cosmere RPG. Our current Cosmere Games initiative started with the Mistborn Deckbuilding Game, courtesy of John here, which has done amazingly well. I heard that it has sold over 100,000 copies, which is fantastic. And I think that makes it, certainly over the amount of time it's had to sell that makes it our best-selling game since the original boss monster of the game that started this company. So that is amazing. But the RPG is close behind.
Yes. As we can all see there, the Cosmere RPG was the #2 RPG in fall of 2025.
And it will be the #2 RPG of next year as well. Probably not next year, but this year, definitely. So look at all this that we've got going on in 2026. Now, War for Roshar is a Kickstarter for a game that won't come out till next year. But in terms of this year's releases, pretty strong stuff. It's the year of Mistborn, which is just perfect for the 20th anniversary of the books.
There's Shards of Creation, a trick-taking game that I designed, inspired by the Shards of Adonalsium, where each suit is a different shard. It's available here at the show, but not for very long. It's almost out.
Yeah, raise your hand if you have this one yet. Thank you. All right. If you don't, stop by the booth, pick it up. We did sell through more than half of our stock yesterday, which on a Thursday means this thing is not going to last the whole con.
We also have the Stormlight RPG, which is available at the show.
And excitingly, we are just a month away for fulfillment for the Mistborn RPG. And for anybody who didn't pick it up during the Kickstarter, it's coming to retail in November.
Woo!
Is this me?
That's you.
Yeah, so Well of Ascension is our first expansion for Mistborn. I don't know, when's our timeline for that? Dragonsteel?
That one is coming out, hitting stores as well in November, and will definitely be available at Dragonsteel.
Yeah, and it's the Well of Ascension content, characters. You get Ellen as a character now.
And it also has a really cool new solo and co-op mode.
Oh yeah,
Siege of
so there's a whole new co-op solo scenario, Siege of Luthadel. Which it's going to function similar to what you played in the one, but like a whole new scenario, right? New challenge. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, and then coming to Kickstarter this fall, we have something incredibly epic, another partnership with John. Let's take a quick sneak peek at our huge asymmetric board game, War for Roshar.
In a world of storms and war, an ancient evil has returned. Nations must unite, and the Knights Radiant must rise again. Will you serve odium or fight with honor? Decide the fate of a world at war. Stormlight, War for Roshar, coming this fall.
All right, so that is obviously just a little bit of a story teaser there, but let's talk a little bit about this actual game.
Yeah, so, can you guys all hear me? I don't have to hold the mic, yeah?
Yeah, you do need to, because we're...
Oh, you do that? Okay, all right. Yeah, so if you've played games like War of the Ring or Star Wars Rebellion, this is sort of that scale of one side versus the other, two-player. However, as part of the design for this, really important for me was to make the 2v2 scenario like a true 2v2. I always loved War of the Ring and Star Wars Rebellion, but I always was disappointed with the 2v2 scenario. So this has a true 2v2, where you're each your own player, fully playing the game, not half a game. And yeah, I mean, you're playing as your favorite characters or your least favorite characters if you don't like the bad guys on either side. It's got a lot of card play. It's a I call it a hero-driven game. So it's a dudes on a map game, but your heroes are what's going to drive your actions in the game. So each action you take, a hero is doing something and then commanding the troops to activate. So they're the main focus of the game, your heroes, and they're radiants or fused, right? And they're ranking up as they're powering up as the game goes on in a very powerful power curve for the characters, while moving troops around, battling. If you're on a team mode, trying to coordinate, fighting over oath gates, all that good stuff.
How cool is this picture of Leshwi, by the way? Yeah. The Leshwi that I want to marry. Hayden, what were your goals in working on this on the development side? So John brings the design and the vision for the game, and then Hayden is responsible for working on it over the course of years. I mean, when did you bring us to this game, John? Like, was this feels like 3 years ago?
We were talking about this before we were talking about Mistborn.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which would be like 4 years ago.
Yeah. We were talking about this one before we were talking about Mistborn. I think it was a full 2.5 years ago that I showed you the first prototype of this that we played at Chris's place.
Yeah.
So it's a good long run.
And then how long has it been in your hands, Hayden?
I think I played it for the first time at the end of a con. I think it was either Origins or Nexus, like 3 years ago. It's been with us a while.
So pretty early, and then you guys collaborate together as you proceed through the development stage, through playtesting. So this has now gone through all of that. We're really at the art stage, which is my job, and to direct other people to make art. And we can't wait to show it off to you. So if you are excited about this, please hit that QR code, follow that campaign. I think we've got like 5,000 followers so far since launching this page on Monday. So pretty exciting stuff. And here's to another big Stormlight Kickstarter. But of course, you are here to learn about more than what's happening this year. You want to see what's happening in 2027. And there's a lot of excitement coming.
In 2027, we have the Cosmere Solo Handbook. This is something folks had really asked for during the Kickstarter, and we're excited to deliver it. It is being designed by Sean Tompkin and Matt Click, who are industry pros, do a lot of very interesting dynamic mechanics for solo modes.
Yeah, and that's right there is a sort of sneak peek of some of the artwork still, at the line art stage by Marie Zeeberger, who she did all of the pages that are in the World Guide for the Stormlight World Guide, also for the Mistborn World Guide, and those are actually all being drawn by an in-universe character named Dulak, who is a world hopper who comes from Scadrial to Roshar and then into the wider Cosmere. So you'll get to see a little bit of Dulak's journeys through the Cosmere as you read through these books. And Dulak, they're almost an example of a solo character that you can kind of emulate. So really cool stuff. Even if you've never done a solo RPG before, I encourage you to check this out. Matt and Sean are the best at this, and they've worked with our very talented team to make it happen. So that's a big one coming this spring. Or next spring. Next summer. Next summer.
Coming 2 months ago.
Next August. There we go. All right.
All right, so I get to do the fun part of making a role-playing game because I give them story ideas that Brandon and I come up with and kind of a very broad outline of this is what the story should be. They will be so excited to play through this thing and have these tools and these Easter eggs from the game. And then they have to figure out how to make it function as a game. And so I honestly, at this point, am not entirely certain which of my crazy ideas they've been able to make work. So I'm not going to tell you too much about this, except that Tidebreakers is a direct follow-up to Stonewalkers. You can play it alone, or you can play it as part of an ongoing campaign. This takes the PCs up to the Reshi Isles, where there is, they get to actually participate very directly in the war that's going on. Stormlight Archive is ultimately an epic war story, and we wanted to make sure that you got a big war that you could play out and directly influence and make important choices about.
Absolutely. And this is kind of a spoiler, so plug your ears if you haven't finished Wind and Truth. But at the end of that book, certain areas of Roshar remain independent. And one of them is the Tainan. And so you get to be the reason why. Another, you can unplug your ears. Another cool thing is that this is a chance to show higher level play. A lot of adventures don't go up to level 16, even for D&D, even across other systems. This is a chance to show you how to do higher level play in this new system, Cosmere/Plotweaver. So pretty exciting stuff coming. And that, we did a good job of moving at a good clip through some of the announcements. But I have preloaded our Q&A here with a few questions for the team members so that we can make sure that everybody gets at least one question to answer. So let us start with, these are the questions that, you would ask if I
Questions you would ask if we let
Hayden,
you
what
ask.
was your favorite shard to design?
So, of the ones that have been published,
Feel free to include ones that we may publish in the future if this game continues to be successful.
I'll start with ones that have been published. When I first made the game, it was originally what if every shard was a different kind of board game, and it turned into a trick taker. It was a little bit more simple than that. But preservation has stayed almost the same from the very first prototype I made. Changes have been made around preservation, but fittingly, they preserved. But I really like preservation because I think it changes the way the game is played a lot. Of the ones that have not been played, my favorite trump ability would be Endowment. And then there's one other shard that I don't feel comfortable talking about, but it's my favorite game design because it changes it in a lot of ways, but it's really interesting.
Well, how intriguing, Hayden. Good answer. All right. We have, the Mistborn Handbook is coming out, and hey, this is an image that nobody's seen before. The Feruchemy skill tree, and the question that goes with this one is for Lydia. How does Feruchemy work?
All right, so I think we've teased a little bit about how Allomancy will work for Mistborn. We have the investiture resource for that. For Feruchemist, we had a bit of a challenge because we knew that Allomancy and Feruchemy can go together in Era 2 when we have Twinborn, which is kind of an ideal player option in my opinion. So with Feruchemist, we didn't want to step on the toes of Allomancy using the investiture resource and complicating what that resource would do. So instead we used charges. So if you're familiar with how Fabrials work in Stormlight, it's kind of similar. You have metal mine charges where you are able to store and tap from different metal mines for different metals. As with other invested paths, we have a goal to construct your metal mines that you take. And for the Feruchemist, to kind of speed things along, you can construct them in pairs, so like pushing and pulling pairs. So very excited to see how all that plays out. And then in Era 2, we have Twinborn. This is kind of the ideal option. While you can also play a fantastic like heroic character or a Misting or a Faring, Twinborn gives you 2 powers that kind of mimic the way Radiants have 2 surges, so it is a very fun play style. It was extremely fun in playtesting to get to combine different powers and just see how much flavor that adds to a character and also find your fun little mechanical twists. So really excited for Twinborn, and you can expect that Allomancy and Feruchemy will work really well in tandem and not mechanically step on each other's toes.
Yeah, I think Lydia did an amazing job of leading the team through like this incredible design brief of like designing 32 different metallic arts paths, as well as the corresponding metalborn paths in order to capture everything that's unique about the Mistborn magic system.
I just want to add, I can't take too much credit for that because Andrew Fisher was our lead designer for the first half of Mistborn development and did sensational job. So.
Just take all the credit.
Just want to, yeah.
It's easy. The first half of ideas are always the easy part. So that is coming. It's very exciting, and yeah, I mean, it's fun to play a Feruchemist. It's fun to play a Mistborn, but I really do think like Twinborn is such a sweet spot of flexibility but depth. If you're playing a Mistborn, the action economy means, yeah, you can do everything, but you're going to have to focus on one thing at a time. And so it's not as OP as it might seem. Though, of course, you have to understand that when you see the Mistborn in the books, like Vin's like leveling up every chapter.
And along with that too, with the goals, train your powers, you also unlock pairs as a Mistborn. So in order to become very adept at various powers, you would train them like we see Vin train in the books.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's turn to the Mistborn World Guide. There's a ton of stuff in the World Guide, what you would hope to see, I think, based on having seen the Stormlight World Guide. But we're also seeing some parts of the world that we've never seen before, like the Crescent Wastelands in Era 1 or the Conrad Delta in Era 2. Meric, what's the Conrad Delta?
So the Conrad Delta is a location in the southern roughs in Era 2. This is a really cool opportunity where Dragonsteel said, here's a sandbox, what do you want to do? And we thought, you know, it would be really cool opening up more play space. So in the Northern Roughs, people expect the sort of cowboy, frontier kind of play. In Ellendale, we've got our investigation, we've got all sorts of interesting stuff in the cityscape. Here, we went with more treasure hunting, a little bit of Indiana Jones. It's a bayou, there's a swamp, there's a gambling city, there's riverboats. So it's like, take yourself to another new location and try out a different type of play.
Absolutely. We have an awesome video that Audrey Vale put together on our social media talking about Conrad Delta and New Trimmer, which is sort of the Scadrial's answer to New Orleans and other southern port cities.
Real quick before you go away from this one, just 2 locations to point out. Ruins Point is a lovely place for Kolos-blooded clans to live and congregate, but the Brittle Spear Bayou is where the scary Kolos clans are, so they will hunt you down.
All right, and then, you know, I love the books that y'all led, but I think my personal favorite is Mistborn Legacy. So, Lyla, or actually Dan.
Start out with Dan.
Yeah, because Dan is, as he mentioned before, he gets to give us the ideas. So, what is a legacy?
All right, so I prefaced this before by saying I come up with ludicrous ideas. So when we started talking about what would the campaign be for Mistborn, and I thought, which era? Why not both? And so this is a campaign that starts in Era 1 and continues in Era 2, and so you'll be playing different characters, but they're connected very closely to each other. And a legacy is like a role that you take on. So you make whatever character you want, but then you add a legacy to them, like urchin or convict, and there's a bunch of different ones. And what that does, first of all, is it connects your character directly to the story. You have now backstory inside of the campaign. You know some of the NPCs. you're a part of it. And then that continues, and the choices you make in the first half are going to hugely affect the second.
All right. So some really exciting things happening here. And Lyla, who led this adventure, tell us what we're looking at right there.
All right, well, that is a giant spoiler if you zoom in.
Yes,
Don't zoom in. If you're running Mistborn Legacy, don't zoom in, because that is our interconnected like timeline graph that our lead editor made on this. So the word legacy was sort of like our North Star, and we were very fixated on how can you feel like you have a legacy that the things that you do and the choices that you make matter even if you might never live to see them. So we have a very like bittersweet story in Era 1 that goes over into Era 2. Early brainstorming had us thinking, what are all the different ways that we could have decisions or things that you do in the past that can sort of butterfly effect and ripple out to the future? And we got wacky with some stuff, I would say. Legacies were like a huge part of that. For example, a Era 1 legacy is the noble, and then an Era 2 legacy is the heir, and you're connected via family to the events that happened. A maybe less obvious one is the Era 1 legacy of the chronicler, where you are writing about your adventures in a way that's similar to like the epigraphs that are in the Era 1 books, and then Era 2 you're playing the explorer who is uncovering the writings of the Era 1 character. And one of the things that I find very exciting about that is encouraging you to have one of your friends play a legacy and then you connect to them. So you have intermingled storylines where you riff off the decision that your friends made in Era 1 and you tell this like hopefully beautifully connected web of things. So we have familial connections, we have like generating ideas in Era 1s that sort of blossom. It's very evocative of the books where it's like Kelsier starts survivorism, and you can see in Era 2 that ripples out. So whether it's religion or fashion or many other things that we came up with, that is all in there. We have specific call-outs where your GM will like write down decisions that you make in Era 1, and then they are told to like look back at those decisions and like evoke them at story points, which is actually what that's graphing out. It's like every time that you take a decision and you show it in the next era.
Specifically called out in sidebars as like legacy moments and time skip connections.
Yeah.
And so it's all been really intricate. How much playtesting did that take?
I think we had, I want to say 2,000 hours of playtesting. Is anybody here a playtester in the room? Okay, can we give a huge round of applause? We had a ridiculously serious and just like dedicated group of playtesters. There were over 10 groups that playtested the entire adventure. If you chat with them, we'll be able to tell you that we absolutely made changes to Mistborn Legacy that were non-trivial because of the feedback that we got. We think it is an extremely stellar adventure. It's doing a lot of really cool stuff that I do not think you will see in other adventures with the time skip and the fun mechanics and things that we have. Hope you check it out.
I do want to add, since we talked about playtesting, we've talked to some other RPG companies. Well, I won't name them, but you know them. And we said, how many hours of playtesting do you guys do? And they're like, you guys playtest your adventures? So we put a lot of work into this for you.
All right. So we touched on this briefly before, but John, for Mistborn Well of Ascension, what are some of the ways that you updated co-op play? And we've got a nice visual of it up here.
Right. It's not so much an update as in it's a whole new scenario.
Yeah.
So you can still play the original with the new card mix that's shuffled in and the new heroes if you want to play against the Lord Ruler. Right. Your alternate universe Elend versus the Lord Ruler scenario you can still do. But we also give you a whole new scenario now. So this is the Siege of Luthadel scenario. There are 3 gates, and the core function is similar. So for the people who have played before, you still have sort of what used to be a dominance track. It has a different name now, but it's still going to work. Some cards, and every turn, at the end of each player's turn, they reveal a card. It'll either advance dominance or it'll play out some bad guy, right? Now, there are 3 gates in this scenario, though. And the bad guys will show up, the Koloss, usually Koloss armies, right, will show up at one of these 3 gates. And as the heroes, you're responsible for moving between the gates and defending them, right? So your lose scenario, your lose condition is failing to defend the gates, right? And your win condition is getting enough missions up and successfully defending yourself. The dynamicness, it's much more dynamic than the original one, which is very straightforward, like finish the missions and then kill the Lord Ruler, right? This one has a little bit more of like, all right, we got to get over there and deal with that problem. Then we got to get over here and deal with this problem. Should we just let that be? It's too wordy. It's not going to, it's not efficient enough to do that.
Yeah, almost like a tower defense element. It's very cool. And then back to you for one more question. With the War for Roshar, and this is another awesome image that you might not have seen yet, you in the audience. What was your number one design goal for this? When you set out, what was your North Star on this one?
So I'm a sort of an omni gamer. I like all kind of games, but often my favorite types of games are the big epic strategy games, and usually like a dudes on a map type of game are some of my favorite games. So getting to work on this was awesome because I was also obviously a fan of the books. I wanted so anytime a game where the theme is important to the game can make you sort of talk with your friends about what happened in the game, where you don't actually have to reference the rules. You sort of describe the events that happened in your game, right? Kaladin did this, and then he fought Leshwi, and then the Windrunners flew over here and defended the city. Like, if you can just talk about it just in like a narrative, this is what happened in the game, and all of that makes sense in the context of the game you played, like, anytime the game can do that, I think that's awesome, right? So my goal was to hit that, where you can describe what happened with your game, talking about what each hero did, and the game just sort of organically creates those narratives. So, like I said, it's a very hero-driven game, and you can follow the story. You can sort of follow the little path of what your hero does in commanding armies around the board. I think that one. And then the second design goal for me, I always like a full table of gamers. I love a good two-player game, but I like playing with a full table. So the other design goal for me was to make this really hit at 2v2 as a true 2v2 game. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where we've gotten some of our most memorable playtesting feedback in terms of people saying like, oh man, this was just a totally unique experience. Yeah. All right. And then that is just a look at the full map, just to give you a sense of what we're talking about. And this is definitely a table hog. Make sure you have a sufficiently sized table for this. This map is not quite actual size, but it's like, like a 2-up version. Hayden, as somebody who has played this game possibly more than anyone else, what is your favorite strategy?
So there's a lot of strategies that work really well. And you can go diplomacy heavy strategy, you can go really big armies and just conquer the map that way strategy. I've seen all of them work. My favorite one is actually to keep a relatively small army and seem unimportant, and then take their highest rated oath gates in a random swoop at the last second in the middle of the game when they're not expecting it, and then winning suddenly that way. So a very odium.
Yeah, that's very odium.
I was going to say, and that has a lot to do with the card play, right? So you're as the game goes on, you're drafting better cards, and sometimes you can hold those cards back and hide them for just the right moment, right? And a lot of that, like suddenly, here comes the little army you didn't expect, comes in the way you use the cards in the game.
Yeah, because there's no dice in this game. That's correct. This is it is math. It is it is like real war. I guess you sort of put things in place, and then. Now you play the right card at the right time to win.
Right. The unexpected parts in the game are you didn't expect your opponent to do that, as opposed to you didn't expect the dice to not work out.
I do have to say very quickly, as the voice of Dragonsteel, this is prototype art. This is not final. I'm not saying it will change. I just, for legal reasons.
Especially the most. I think the art we've shown here is all pretty much final, but the board itself, if you see us playing tomorrow in the room 133 with Dan, that's definitely a prototype board with prototype pieces on it. So all the physical stuff is very very temp still. But over to another cool piece of art. Lyla, how many Cosmere RPG adventures are coming in 2027?
Well, there are 5 Cosmere RPG adventures that are either a one-shot or longer coming in 2027, and one of them is pictured here. At the end of 2025, during Nexus, we ran a epic event called Heroes of the Lost Desolation, happening in the Desolation era of the Stormlight Archive. It was a 400-person mass battle, which was very cool. But we took that coolness because if you have 400 friends and you want to play it, like, reach out to us. But if you have 4 friends and you want to play it, our goal was to redevelop the adventure for that. So to take all the epicness of having a huge mass battle combat and the tough decisions that you have to make there, and war stories, and embedding it into a 1 to 2-shot experience. So that'll be coming out next year.
All right, and one question that's probably on everyone's minds to sort of wrap up our Q&A session here is, Lydia, what is the next Cosmere RPG setting?
So we've designed Stormlight, we've designed Mistborn. After we finished with Mistborn, we began actively developing everything else in the Cosmere at the same time. It's not all going to come out at the same time, but the reason why we did this is because when you are designing a living RPG, you have a lot of kind of core design space and the design space outside of that. We did not want all of the early worlds that were released to use up all the juicy, cool, mechanics that were more integrated into the core system, and then have everything after that become incredibly complex and tangential. So ever since, even before we finished Stormlight and Mistborn, but especially ever since, we have been really paying attention to making sure that we can integrate cool new mechanics for every new magic system in the rest of the Cosmere directly in, and make sure it has a niche in our system so nothing feels like it's stepping on the toes of something else, and we can make sure to watch complexity that way. So we have actively been working on all of these worlds in early development and some in later development. Unfortunately, Johnny is a troll, and he lined that up as if we were going to say today we're not. Please come to Nexus. We will reveal it then.
So what I will say today is that everything you see on this slide will fall under the umbrella of what we're calling World Hopper. So that as we move forward through the Cosmere, we'll have 3 pillars: Stormlight, Mistborn, and World Hopper. And that with each of those will each have a handbook and a corresponding world guide, or in the case of World Hopper, some special stuff that's coming. But there will also be, and you should expect to see, standalone books for some of the bigger worlds in the Cosmere. So not every world that's been featured in a short story or novella will have its own standalone book. But we're going to go to all of them. And if you had to quickly estimate how many magic systems you're currently in some level of design on, what would you say?
In some level of design on, 8?
Yeah.
Probably more than that. There's some that we've kind of just barely touched, and others we have fully prototyped and are in playtesting right now. And so, yeah, all of this is coming out for the source books. If I could just speak to that for a second. We know that reprinting all of the core rules, it's really fun to have it for certain settings. For other folks who are trying to collect everything in the Cosmere RPG, we want to use up that juicy book space on extra cool mechanics for you, extra new lore. And so when we have source books, it'll be a lot of the content of a handbook and the content of a world guide minus kind of the core rules of the system. So that way you get more for your book.
Awesome.
I have been in some meetings inside of Dragonsteel where some of the other officers are like, wait, Brotherwise is making a splat book for that book? It's just one book. No one's going to buy it. And I'm like, oh, yes. Oh, they will. So don't worry. I'm in your corner here.
All right, so I hogged most of the Q&A, and that was primarily by design.
We go up to 115.
Oh, okay. Right. That's a good consolation prize. All right, so that gives us a little bit of time for Q&A, actually. So I'll sort of moderate these. I'm probably going to direct each question to one person to avoid the, everybody answers every question. But yeah, raise a hand, and I'll point to you. Saw you first.
For the RPG makers, you guys, you mentioned higher level play with the adventures as something that is not often seen a lot of times in actual play in other systems. What is something you want to highlight as a potential option or a cool facet of higher level play within the systems?
Okay, this feels like a Lydia question. What's something that you'd like to see? What do you think we do especially well at high levels, or that you'd want to highlight?
I think at high levels, you feel very cool. You scaled up to a point where you really understand your powers and you're coming up with cool niche combos. For something I'm really looking forward to doing is we are planning some higher tier minions, which is interesting design space. And we're really looking at designing more higher tier adversaries as we go on to continue to challenge folks.
Awesome. All right. Over on this wall.
So this is the second book in your Cosmere RPG. Are you including anything for blending powers from the first yet?
Probably also a Lydia.
We have a small section on how to do that. So there's a little bit of information there. We will continue to go into that with World Hopper.
And I will say, it's also like, it's just built into the system. You put this character together and this character together, and like, a Knight Radiant can fight a Steel Inquisitor, and you don't need any additional rules to tell you how to do that. But we do have some guidance and things like that coming. Yeah.
My home group is currently playing Oops All Scadrians, where they are playing through Stonewalkers, and they are starting to swear oaths.
And I just want to say too, in playtesting, we do all the ridiculous things we expect you to do. And so like, did somebody in Mistborn playtesting bring an honor blade to a gunfight? Yes. I don't know, we're trying everything, okay? Like, we're covering our bases here.
Awesome. In the back?
So Stonewalkers ends off at level 7. I saw that Tiebreakers starts off at level 10. What can you tell us about what happens in the levels between those adventures, the story between those?
Good catch. So, Dan, do you want to say anything?
We actually do have a good answer for this. We have an adventure that we're working on to bridge the two big campaigns called Showdown in Shadesmar.
And if you were a Kickstarter backer, you're already getting it as a free PDF.
Yeah. Part of this, because you are going to Shadesmar, getting there and getting out of there is not easy. And so Brandon and I sat down and came up with a really cool way for you to do that you might not be expecting, that still works canonically. So it's going to be awesome.
All right. Right behind the hat. Yes, in the glasses. Sorry. Yes, I saw you first.
Mistborn book going to be able to expand on the Malwish and potentially like their technology on top of the general mistings?
No. No, not much.
Do you want
Well, I was just going to mention that we have a supplement scenarios, which are, if you've seen Stormlight scenarios, we're doing Mistborn scenarios, and there's a short Malwish-focused adventure in there, which has some exciting art and maps.
That's right.
Yeah. And the World Guide does have a little bit of information about the Malwish, what we were able to talk about, but we want to keep those surprises for you in the books.
Yeah, so that's really Malwish stuff potentially steps a lot on the toes of Era 3. We're excited to make those books, hot on Brandon's heels there. But we've got sort of medallions. We've got some of the things that anything that shows up in Era 2, we have covered in some way. I don't think we have like stats for the Bands of Mourning, but pretty much any other piece of technology that you would see, we've got. Like Lyla said, one of the Mistborn scenarios, which again you're getting if you were a Kickstarter backer, is a really cool like airship jacking scenario. So, all right, now to you.
Yeah. This is probably more of a question for Dan. You guys were talking about the Conrad Delta. Is that going where that was made by Brotherwise for the campaign? Is that going to be canonized into the Cosmere?
I can talk about what Isaac said. Go for it. First. Sure. So, a really fun thing that we did when we were designing that was we worked directly with Isaac Stewart, and he was a massive proponent and help to us. And he said, you know what, if you place it here, it's going to probably be, like, it might survive.
Like we
might see it.
Yeah, if our original placement, he literally said, that would probably get paved over in Era 3. And it was sort of like, that's actually a reasonable thing to happen to a Bayou settlement, but...
He said, but if you move it a little bit further south and go over here, we might be able to see it.
Okay.
So he left that on the table for us, and we're very thankful.
Yeah, from my end, what I can tell you is that Brandon's first and still strongest mandate for this role-playing game is that everything we give you is canon. Okay? What happens at your table is your own business. But everything we give to you is real. Well.
It's real to me.
Stormlight book and the Mistborn Era 1 and 2, what happens when Mistborn Era 3 or Stormlight Part 2 comes out?
Yeah, I can answer that one. We would handle those probably as standalone source books. I mean, an interesting thing about Era 3 is it's being written all together, so I don't think we want to release 2 different source books for Era 3 as the books are coming out. I think it's just we want to wait until we can deliver the more definitive take. And instead, we'll probably use sort of PDFs or e-supplements or something like that to start seeding some of those character options in the meantime. So yeah, that's how we handle it. And how we'll handle Stormlight Era 2. That's it's awesome that that's something we are indeed thinking about, but it's definitely a little down the road. Let's see.
Any plans for weirder classical settings like the Recreance, False Desolation, things like that?
So Heroes of the Lost Desolation is our first piece of Desolation content. So you are in that playing during one of the historical desolations. So you get to see, in the illustrations, for example, that illustration showed some people in bronze armor. So that wasn't shard plate, that was second ideal radiance or third ideal radiance, mostly third ideal, wearing just bronze armor. And there's a lot of sort of togas and kilts and things like that. It's sort of proto-Alethi clothing, because that's essentially a Bronze Age setting, except that some people have shard plates. So. Donald.
I'm cheating. Will we ever see a stat block for shard? Has that ever been put in consideration?
I would say, no. The question was, will we ever see a stat block for a shard? And I would say that would sort of be against the philosophy of the system and sort of the philosophy of the world building. How would you do it, Dan?
All right, so there's a line in the Twisted Metal TV show, which I hope you all watch because it's actually phenomenal, where one of the guys comes up to the main character and says, they're going to list your cause of death as everything. And yeah, that's basically what a shard stat block would look like, is do you want to do this? Then you can.
We have no level cap.
This wall.
So Brandon had that reading of a classical Scadrial not too long ago, pre-Era 1 even. Is there any thought to doing something like that?
We have one illustration of classical Scadrial in the Mistborn World Guide, but not currently. I mean, you can easily sort of put it together using the rules that we've got. So, over here.
So for the Mistborn Deckbuilding Game, obviously the core box is based on the Final Empire, and we have the Well of Ascension, which is coming out in November. Not pushing for a reveal or anything, but is there discussions about Hero of Ages?
So good question, and we have actually, as we've been working on this, we've sort of realized that we're pulling some of the content from Hero of Ages into this, and never say never. We could say a movie comes out and everybody's excited about Era 1. That would be a great time to do a Hero of Ages. But I personally would be very excited to see what happens if we look at an Era 2. So that's kind of, something we're talking about with John right now. So, yeah. You've had your, oh wait, over here. I haven't gotten in.
So I was curious, is there anything that you could share about the campaign for the War for Roshar right now, or is that mostly still private and such?
That's a good question. So the War for Roshar campaign, we've got, big, awesome, crunchy war game that is the core item. Some upgraded components and things like that you can expect to see. But the other thing I'll tease is that this also sort of acts as a sequel to our Stormlight Miniatures campaign. So miniatures have a lot of upfront costs to make, the tooling is super expensive and stuff like that. So they're really good to do alongside a Kickstarter. And as long as we're doing miniatures for in the box, we thought, why not do some new Stormlight miniatures? Why not do some Mistborn miniatures? So you can expect to see those in the add-ons. So, and now you
for the Cosmere RPG, is there any plan to add any new heroic paths or talents to the talent tree in the future?
I'm so glad you asked. Heroics are actually my favorite. Yes, so we have some coming in Mistborn. We have actually 8 new specialties, so every path is getting at least one, which is very cool. And then as we continue to build out, there will be more to come, more specialties. So not more heroic paths. We're still going to have the 6, but there will be new specialties. We are already brainstorming, flowing on a lot of those. Some of those are already built out and actively in playtesting. So yes, you can expect more. And what I will say is that we are also being very mindful of how we handle that with a living RPG. I don't want to just create a million and have them diluted and the mechanics not be that interesting. Every single one that we're doing with a lot of intention.
A couple of years ago, as a joke, Lydia and I designed a Valentine's Day themed heroic path. And so yes, this is her favorite thing to do.
Thank you.
I'm glad you pointed out to me because I kind of have a question for you and maybe John as well.
Mm-hmm.
You've talked about like you have guys on maps, you have like the trick-taking game, we have the RPG. Are there any style systems, game types that you haven't approached yet that you'd love to see, even if you're not sure what setting it would be matched with in the Cosmere?
Yeah, let's go with John first, and feel free to say whatever.
Yes, there's. Yes, there are other games I would like to make. One of them I probably won't mention, but I bug them about it all the time. Yeah, I mean, I think you can zoom in on different parts of either of the worlds, right, and turn into an interesting game, right. You know, if you zoomed in on Luthadel at a certain time and period of time, you can make a really interesting sort of Dune Imperium style game or something. So, I mean, there's a lot we can talk about, and there's a lot of ideas. Yes, I mean, what we've got here is there's nothing actively planned though that we're not talking about. Yeah.
So, part of design development is I design a ton of games that get one playtest, maybe even a few months of playtest, and then get shelved. I have a very large digital dusty shelf. Though, I've tried designing games in the Cosmere that we decided eventually after a few months, just not the right fit for the book. I've always wanted to make a good worker placement game, and that is the thing I have been working on like 16 different times, but I want to make a worker placement game. And I think a lot of Cosmere worlds work for that.
And I'll flip that question back around to the community, because the games we've made so far are essentially the ones we knew people really wanted. We knew people wanted a Mistborn game that was about dueling. We knew that people wanted a big Stormlight war game. We knew people wanted an RPG. And we knew that there was an appetite for a lighter, more approachable game that you could play with non-Cosmere fans, like Shards of Creation. So what else do you want to see? And especially outside of Stormlight and Mistborn, we have the whole Cosmere. What is the Trust of the Emerald Sea game that you want to see? What is the Sunlit Man game you want to see? What is the Elantris game you want to see? I'm very curious to hear that from people. I'm not going to ask you right now. We're getting unwieldy. All right. Okay. I'm seeing second-time questioners, so I'll go to you.
I guess the question I'll go for that is, you mentioned the Feruchemy system, and I did one of the playtests I played last night. It had Allomancy as one skill. Is Feruchemy a skill on its own under, like, with strength or whatever? Not strength. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, not attributes, but skills. Yes, it is a skill. We have skill-based magic. That's part of our system. Right. But with every medal, you get a different, unique store and tap action. So there will be a lot of support for each medal and whatever aspect of yourself that you're storing and tapping. So all of that is already built into the game. But it is one Feruchemy skill, and that allows us to build in some simplicity with, you know, like how the metal mines work and your limits for things and whatnot.
Yeah, you're not often testing. You're not often rolling for Feruchemy. It's more often being used in terms of like how many ranks you have in it as a throttle for certain talents and things like that. But yeah. All right, we have gotten our bonus question time, but I wanted to sneak in one more question. And This one is for Meric, because Meric started on the Cosmere RPG team, became lead writer for the Mistborn World Guide, but is now our Plotweaver RPG director. And is an awesome example of a person who has become a professional RPG designer. I wouldn't be surprised if there's somebody in this room who would love to follow that same kind of path. So how do you do this, Meric, and how could Brotherwise help?
The best way right now is to join Plotweaver Academy. That's our Patreon. What we're doing is we are packaging all of our designer guidance into articles and putting it onto the Academy. We are doing sneak peeks, we're doing previews, and we're doing activities for people to try designing things and then engage with our designers. So right now we have this Google form out where you can write a couple of talents, submit them to our designers, and then we're going to review them and share that with the entire community.
It's a talent show.
It's a talent show. As we continue, we're going to give you, we've already given you the style guide. We're going to continue with adversary creation guidance, with helping to create magic paths. It depends on which system you're in. Heroic paths and templates to create your own things. I felt like there was one more thing I was going to say.
Well, I think just to sort of frame this up, Plotweaver is the system powering the Cosmere RPG. So very early on as we worked on this, people said, hey, can I publish my own Cosmere RPG content? And the answer to that is no, because we don't want to muddy the waters between our official canonical stuff and everything that Brandon wants, is going to write, and community content, because it could just get murky. But if you want to do your own stuff, that is why we've built Plotweaver. For Cosmere, we had to build a system that could accommodate different magic systems, that could accommodate different technology levels, and that had to throw them all together, all while taking sort of what people love about D20-based play and upgrading it for more modern, more narrative, and I think in a lot of cases just better RPG play. So Plotweaver is defined by the plot die, by talent tree-based character creation, by skill-based magic and powers. You can have slot-based magic in this system if you wanted to, but creativity and improvisation are really at the heart of using surge binding, or using allomancy, or using elemental magic in our first fantasy setting for Plotweaver, Erstwild. So this is something this is kind of a bonus plug for something that is not Cosmere related, so sorry for the bait and switch. But we are currently working on 3 different campaigns for that, 3 different settings. The rules are going to be free. You can get the core rules online for free. Everything your players need can be online for free. But setting-specific character options, adversaries, cool setting info, each one of these settings has something really special about it, including the one that Meric is personally leading, Splinterlight, our sci-fi setting. So here is a sneak peek at some concept art for Splinterlight, a character who is an essential. And Essence is essentially the counterpart for investiture in the Plotweaver system. So here is somebody who is who's using some essence.
Yeah, that is a psionic in well, that's technically an essential, but they use the psionics skill in the Splinterlight setting. And my nails match.
All right, and here is a Panaturi DJ from Hexbeat, our urban fantasy setting. So if you're at all interested in any of this, join us, whether you want to become a GM in this setting eventually, whether you want to become one of our envoys who goes to conventions and plays these games and runs demos, or you just want to check it out. Check out Plotweaver Academy. All right.
And if you come by the booth, you can probably find these lovely reward cards, which will get you a free month to Plotweaver Academy.
Yeah, the free tier of Plotweaver Academy has most of the content, but if you want access to like talent trees that we haven't released yet, sort of really inside stuff, and direct access to some of our designers to get advice and templates and things like that, that's what the subscription is for. So, all right, well, everybody, thank you so much for coming. Again, sorry for the line situation.